and welcome back to Discover Your Path U. My name is Sharon. I am the Chief Operating Officer for this platform. And with me today, guys, I have such a treat for you. We have our Chief Technology Officer, the lovely Samantha Dee, who I absolutely adore knowing, and who, if I'm honest, guys, is almost single-handedly responsible for creating the platform on which you will be doing your learning. So Sammy, thank you so much for joining us today. And I'd love it if you'd just take a moment and tell us about how you reached DipU, tell us what you do on your own and how we can reach you.
Gosh, well, Misty actually approached me about DipU in January with this mind-blowing idea that the Zen 10 can all come together and create this thing. And I was just breathless. I was like, wow, we can actually do this. Who is on board? And she was telling me everybody that was involved, and it just set off fireworks in my brain for me. So, you know, I'm really, really enjoying the ride. And I'm so excited that we've done it. We've made this thing in record time, I have to say.
Yes.
In terms of me personally, I started meditating about 6-7 years ago, and then I, excuse me, read some books on the subject, and then I did some courses on the subject, and then I was a life coach, and you know, I found my flow with, you know, the experience I have with weight issues and diet issues, as I heard you mentioning the other day with Misty. And so I'm in that flow now. I'm fully on the path, and I'm so excited about DipU, just to see where that goes. I'm just so grateful to have been invited to be a part of it.
Well, how could we not invite you?
Well, indeed, but you know. I'm so thrilled because, you know, at the beginning I thought, oh, can I do this for these 9 amazing people?
Yes,
you know, and then I thought, wait, hold on a second. Yeah, you can. And it's been amazing. Been absolutely amazing. I've enjoyed every second of it.
Yes, it has. I first met Sammy Dee in a group called Nourish, and Sammy was on a panel that Beth Gray, who's the legal counsel here at DipU, was doing called Ditch the Diet, Face the Feelings. And I was so blown away by how, just in almost a tactile sense, Sammy knew herself. She knew her past, she knew her history, she knew what she had been through, she knew how it had affected her life, and she knew how she wanted to affect the lives of other women. And I was just blown away by this little dynamo, because she steps into a room and you know Sammy Dee has arrived.
I've never been called a dynamo before. That's great. But I just want to add that, you know, we were in this big panel room, and in the top right-hand corner, there was this little video of Sharon beaming. And, you know, she just she was just, you know, and she said, I'm going to call you Sammy Dee. And that's where, you know, that came from. So you got Sharon to thank for that.
Yep. That's a great nickname for you.
It is. Yeah, I like it. I might legally change my name to Sammy Dee. How about that?
Oh, yes. So when Misty first approached you with this idea, and with the fact that 10 different people from 10 different backgrounds and 10 different walks of life and 10 different professions and skill sets were getting together to try and create something this massive in this short a period of time.
Yeah.
What was it besides it just being Misty? Because most of the people that Misty asked, they told us that they would have followed her into hell. So yeah. Besides it just being Misty, what was it about what she was presenting to you that made you go, hell yeah, I want to do that?
Well, early on in my coaching business, what I found was that there are a lot of, you know, support groups for confidence and creating your packaging and not being afraid to, you know, say what you're worth, because I constantly underprice myself. And, you know, there are support groups for being authentic and marketing, getting your voice out there, which is our amazing Misty, who I started without. But there wasn't a group or too much support for how do I set up a website? How do I integrate a mailing list? What's a business email versus a personal email? You know, I mean, a lot of people want to help. They want to go into be compassionate career professionals, coaches, and they have that aspiration, but they're not technically oriented.
Yeah.
So what Karen Richards, Misty, and I have done is created the DipU Business School so that you get a completely rounded experience from, you know, just being curious about something to adding it to your life coaching repertoire to actually doing setting up a business. So that's what attracted me, was that it's a completely rounded experience and you get support whether you're just curious or whether you've got a highly technical business website in mind. You know, it's that whole rounded thing that I haven't seen anywhere else. So when Misty said, hey, we're going to do this, I'm like, yep, where do I sign up?
That is awesome. So would you mind sharing with the viewers the My Big Fat series that you have, the book, first book that you've written, then you're in the middle of writing another book, and you're also in the middle of sharing with your following your process of going into a plant-based lifestyle, and the videos
Yes.
on that are just absolutely hilarious. I love them. So would you mind sharing with our viewers about
Oh,
that?
thank you. Yeah, well, I started toying around with writing a book, as you know, a lot of people do, in 2012, what, 7 years ago, and it sort of sat on the shelf doing nothing for years. And then I kind of took a step back from my full-time career and thought, well, what can I do to fill my days? And I thought, I know, I'll finish that book. And so I got into this routine where I was waking up, feed the cats, brush my teeth, and then I would write from about 9 o'clock in the morning until 4:30. And then I'd look up and say, oh, I should maybe eat something today. You know, it's because the subject of the first book, which is called My Big Fat Fat, was all about my personal experiences with dieting, fat shaming, self-esteem, you know, self-hatred, and it just poured out of me, and it all went into a book which is kind of an A to Z with funny stories, sad stories, tips, tricks, reviews, you know, all that kind of thing. And that went out in February last year. And then how did I get into those cookery videos? I can't even remember.
I think you did through Nourish. You were
It
doing
was
my
you,
tiny
wasn't it,
recipe.
lady? It was you.
It was the
Um,
group.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I joined Nourish, and that in itself was an amazing group where people kind of said, we're not going to dictate what you eat, how you eat it, what you do with it afterwards, before. You know, we accept all walks of, nutritional interest. And I went in there and I thought, wow, this looks pretty amazing. I'll try some of these. And that developed into, you know, some videos, because for 20 years with my career and living in hotels and, you know, getting home at 9 o'clock at night, I never, ever cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I literally have one saucepan in my kitchen, and you could barely do a cocoa in it. So that's where the video started, was me literally learning to cook in my 40s. And then you know, I think it was you and Margaret that said, that's a book. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is a book. So the sequel to My Big Fat Fat is called My Big Fat Kitchen. And it's all about choosing, you know, what you put in there, but also not being afraid of changing how you eat or your dietary habits, or, you know, that kind of thing. So, and it's funny too. I mean, I laugh at myself. You know, chopping a tomato, I can amputate a digit quite easily. So yeah, I've been working on that and all sorts of other things, which has all taken a back seat for DipU for the last couple of months, because, you know,
Yes, Sammy has pretty much just put her life on hold to help us put DipU together. And my favorite thing about all of this is that when we were in board meetings discussing changes and stuff, Sammy's tagline is just keep talking, and when I can't do it, I'll tell you. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
have someone like that on board with you where you could just sit down and brainstorm and she could be like, yeah, keep talking. When I can't do it, I'll tell you. It just provided us with
Yeah.
this candy store of opportunities where we got to literally sit down and decide what's the craziest stuff that we want our students to be able to do. And Sammy was
Oh,
like,
I noticed.
I got you. I got you, babe. And towards the end, Sammy kind of was sitting there in the board meetings like, now you're just testing me.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, that was all born from, I was in IT for 20 years for some very serious organizations. And it's so constricted, it's not creative at all. The kind of work that I used to do was, serious stuff. But, you know, when I approached this project, I had all this IT knowledge of frameworks and how things should be done and procedures and process. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to impose that. I'm just going to say, knock yourselves out. If I can't do something, I'll tell you. Because that's how I would want to work.
Yes.
I would want, if I said, oh, what if we made this button blue? I'd want someone to say, yeah, whatever you like. So it's been kind of an experiment for me to see how things come together. And, I do get tested because when I'm talking to you all in a board meeting, I switch from English to code. So when you're all talking about doing something, that's how I'm thinking,
Mm.
and I often end up with this, scowl on my face because I'm kind of thinking it through. And then somebody says something, I'm like, hold on, no, you can't do that. Because, with all the creativity that and the energy that comes out of us 10 when we're together. And also there's never any resistance. There's never any, it just flows. And it dropped me on my ass really, because I've never seen 10 people in a room work so well together. And boy, I've seen some groups of people in a meeting room. I've been in meetings where someone will dive over the desk to, launch at somebody else.
Yep.
Crazy. But, it just, the 10 of us just seem to dive into this great big melting pot of energy, and somehow this platform came out of it. And every day I get up and look at it and think, how do we do that in 2 months?
I know. I can't wait for you guys to see the platform tomorrow when it launches so that you can have an understanding of what this woman created in 60 days. It
wasn't just me.
You're responsible for the majority of it. Misty helped you quite a bit, but Sammy Dee, none of us had the experience to help you. This was you. And to kind of, let's give a playful anecdote here to kind of help people understand why you're so good under pressure. Would you mind sharing helicopter crash landing training with us?
Oh. Yeah, well, I used to scuba dive for fun. I was in a local scuba diving club, and the club decided to put on some social events. And we said, well, what do we all want to do? Just what do we want to do for fun? And one of the things was there was a center down on the coast that trains people who work offshore. They give them this compulsory training on how to survive a helicopter crash. So we said, yeah, I'm game. Let's do that. That'll be a laugh, So we all went down there and did this helicopter crash training. We had boiler suits put on us. We had the helicopter helmets put on us. We had the over-the-shoulder 4-part seat belts. And there was like 8 seats in this helicopter fuselage. And they took us through it in stages. So the first time they would just dump us on the surface and we'd kick out a window and jump out of that. And then they would semi-submerge us. So we had like an air pocket but we had to go underwater to kick the window and get out. Then they would completely submerge us. Then they would submerge us and turn us upside down. And then they would submerge us, turn us upside down, turn the lights off. And the instructor there said, I've had grown men cry because they have to do this compulsory training in order to work on the oil rigs or, work on anywhere offshore. And there's us doing it for fun. Like, yeah. Of course, I was at the front of the line. And what I didn't realize was if you go in first, you come out last. Because one of the things you've got to do when the helicopter crashes is stay in your seat. The first person nearest to the window has to unbuckle, climb out. Second one, unbuckle, climb out. So because I was first in, I was sitting in the back, underwater, strapped in with a boiler suit and a helmet, watching 7 other people save their own lives. That was fun.
That ought to give you an idea of how Sammy Dee was able to just float, what it appeared to us to float through the last 60 days of putting such a complicated platform together, because she eats helicopter crash landing training for fun. So that gives you a general overall idea of literally the word is dynamo that our CTO is. And Sammy, since you've been here and since you've seen the way that this team works together, what's one of the most important things that you've identified as like your why for being here?
Oh, well, there's no pretense, there's no office politics bullshit that you see, in most other places, people trying to climb all over each other for recognition, or people stealing, just all that crap, that you deal with in the rat race. There's none of that. And we're all encouraged to be really authentic and speak our minds. Because, if something doesn't work for someone, I want to know about that. I don't want them to say, well, that page could be, it could be. I want them to say, hey, Sam, that's awful. I need you to, do something else. So, it's a totally free working environment for us. And my why was that the energy that we all have as the 10 will just flow out to anyone that visits the website. You'll be able to feel the energy that went into, not only the website, but the courses, the course content. And it just emanates that energy. I think it definitely represents us as the Zen 10 for sure.
So while we're on the subject of courses, is there any chance that you're planning on taking your My Big Fat and creating any courses in DipU along those same lines?
What, you mean the videos?
Like maybe videos or a course on your book?
A cookery workshop. Yeah, that'd be fun. Hold on a sec, readers. I've just amputated my little finger. I'm kind of thinking about workshops because there's 2 things I'm absolutely fascinated in. One of them is how our brain works in relation to habits. And the other thing is the things we tell ourselves when we're overweight or failing at dieting. So I haven't had time up to now, but there are going to be, a couple of workshops from me. One of them is possibly going to be a body image and self-esteem workshop for coaches so that they can, if they don't have that kind of personal experience in order to apply it to their clients, they can ask me.
Yes.
Because I've been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, and I've picked out my lead actor for the movie. So there's possibly going to be a mastermind on that, how coaches can handle, people with, or what they would need to consider when they have clients who have eating disorders, self-esteem issues, body image issues. And the other thing is the habit stacking. For a long time, I'm a firm believer in the change one thing. change one tiny thing. If you want to change, you know, you're not going to eat an elephant in a day. You have to take small bites. So, you know, if you want to change the way you eat, then, you know, for instance, a transition to plant-based, you could say, okay, we'll start off with breakfast and try a few of those. It doesn't all have to be, right, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to eat plants and I'm going to run 16 miles every day and I'm going to meditate for an hour. You ain't going to do it. You know, it's small, achievable changes. So there's definitely going to be a workshop on that for people that are just curious or people that would like to be able to implement that with their clients.
Yes, and just so you guys are clear, the majority of the board of directors does have courses that are already created in the platform, but Sammy's been so busy these last 60 days making sure that our platform got completed that we've had the luxury of putting out our own courses, and now Sammy has to play catch up. So that's part of the reason for why she doesn't have a course listed at the launch of the platform. Pretty much the platform is her course. Yes. And the last thing I just wanted to discuss with you, Sammy Dee, really quickly is going forward from this point. I know that next week you also have a habit stacking live, do you not?
Yes, I do. So in that it's kind of a taster workshop. I'll be talking about how habits are formed, how habits are replaced, you know, bad habits replaced with good habits, how long it takes to form a habit and make it automatic behavior, how we can apply it. We can apply it to our diet. We can apply it to, you know, how we hug our partners in the morning. We can apply it to whatever you like. So yeah, that should be a fun little taster workshop where people can talk about, you know, habits they might want to change and find out ways that they can make small changes to make them permanent.
Awesome. So is there anything that I haven't discussed that you'd like to cover?
Well, you know, I just want to say while I'm on this public forum, you know, a lot of you guys are worried that I'm not sleeping.
Which is true.
You know, every morning I get up, start work, you know, and type something to someone and they say, God, you ever sleep? I do sleep, and I probably haven't looked after myself quite as well as I would have, but you know, I'm getting all the sleep I need, I'm getting all the nutrition I need, and I'm getting all the love and energy I need. So that's all you need, isn't it?
It sure is. Well, Sammy Dee, thank you so much for coming on with me today. I was so excited to get to introduce to our viewers the woman who's responsible for what we're releasing tomorrow. And I know you're not solely responsible, but the rest of the board of directors has just watched you create something that honestly, Sammy Dee, is miraculous, especially considering the amount of time that we gave you to do it in. So I was so excited to bring you on and just show you with this interview how appreciative we are of you, and we know what you did and we know what you did in that amount of time, and we will forever be grateful.
I appreciate you guys too, and all of you have fulfilled my life in a way that has just not happened before. So I would literally walk into traffic for all of you.
Well, let's hope it doesn't go that far.
You know, and some lights. I would walk into some traffic for you.
Okay, well, to our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us to get to know our CTO, Sammy Dee. We hope that you enjoyed this, and we hope that we'll see you later on this evening at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you get a chance to meet our CEO, Margaret Gunderson-Doxey, and that will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we look forward to that. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning, Sammy. And as always, bye, guys. We love you.